About 6 months ago, I tested the Radeon HD 7750 with 1 GB of VRAM on my other channel. There's a link in the description. Back then, the only two games that I had that would challenge the card were Assassin's Creed Syndicate and Rise of the Tomb Raider. But now I've got a few more demanding games, so I figured that it was time to take another look to see if this card can handle it. But first, a word about the stats in the corner. The top row is my CPU usage per core and the system memory used. The second row is the GPU clock speed, utilization, and VRAM used, and the third row is the frame rate. Also, all the gameplay is at 720p. First up is Dishonored 2. Now, I know this game had a less than stellar release, but since then the game has gotten better, with performance smoothing out for most people. Although, to be fair to the game, I never really had a problem with the performance myself. On the 7750, on medium, performance is not great, but not bad either. Here we have a crack in the slab, my favorite mission. The game itself doesn't like letting the keyboard send commands to other programs, so I can't give you specifics, but the frame rate does hover around 30 frames per second, which is where I have it locked to. However, if you open up the timepiece, the frame rate drops to about 10 or less. Also, the low preset performs the same as the medium preset, more or less. Moving on, next we have Fallout 4, also on the medium preset. Be warned that Fallout 4 is a tale of two games. There's the open field areas, and then there's Boston. The more dense areas of Boston can drop the frame rate in half or more. So I have two areas to represent this drop. First, we have the Raiders. The frame rate averages around 36, but ranges from 27 to 55. Most of this is due to the shadows, and this isn't even the worst of it. More densely populated regions are way worse. Next are the super mutants out in the field. The frame rate averages around 44, but ranges from 28 to 60. The game itself runs much smoother if you locked at 30 frames per second using a program like RTSS. Also, because the card only has 1 GB of VRAM, occasionally the textures load at a very low resolution. And I have saved the best for last, the Resident Evil 7 demo, also on medium. This game, while being utterly terrifying every time I play it, also performs better than the other two and looks better to boot. True, it is just a demo, but I suspect that the full game will perform similarly. The frame rate average is 57, but it did drop to 20 in my playthrough. There is a bit of stuttering throughout, and also a freaking mold monster in the basement. And the blood in the bathtub, and I'm just going to call it Resident Evil 7 will be Game of the Year 2017. So there you have it, the Radeon HD 7750 on a few more AAA titles. Once again, this card punches above its weight class, but the biggest issue is the lack of VRAM. I said it before and I will say it again. If this card had 2 GB of GDDR5 RAM, it would be much better off. True, there is a 2 GB version of the card, but it's GDDR3, and from everything I've read, it won't perform better than the 1 GB version. Although that was back before games really expected at least 2 GB of VRAM, so take that as you will. All that being said, I still believe that the 7750 is a good card if you can get it for about 30 bucks or so. But if you have the card, don't worry about running any game, because you can probably run all of them, at least at 720p. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.